All right, we live. Yeah, we're live. All right, I never do the intro smooth, but whatever. Here we are. We are back. We've been away for a few weeks. I apologize. I have a bit of a frog in my throat, but we'll work through it. But we are on episode 99 of the
Absolute Game of Nerd.
All right. So here we go today. I'm sure if you've seen the title of today's episode. So I want to preface here, like, this is something that I've been talking about a lot. And we have a great example of how to do this. So first off, let's all say hi to Erwin. How you doing today?
What's going on, YouTube family, IG Comic family?
Yeah, here we go. We got Vincent's already in here. We got Flux Cap. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. So yeah, as I was saying, what I've been talking about a lot lately is that, and again, this is not saying this is how you have to collect. This is just if you are in the boat where there are some big books, big goals you have for collecting, they are achievable without being an ultra millionaire, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not an ultra millionaire. Erwin, are you an ultra millionaire?
No.
Right. So we're going to talk about how to make a plan by talking about Erwin's example. We'll talk about what he did. And, and the key is, the discipline it takes to stick with it. Now, again, of course, you may not care to do this, right? You may want to just churn through smaller books, or you just have fun getting stuff every week, right? What we're going to talk about tonight does require a good amount of discipline and sticking to your plan. And that's just what we're going to talk about. I think it's a fun way to collect. It's very rewarding. Again, it's not for everybody, but if you want it to do that, this is a way to do it. Now, obviously there are some limitations, right? We can do this to an extent. Like if our goal is Tech 27 or Action 1, right? It does take a little bit of a I got a nice trust fund, right? Make millions of dollars kind of thing sometimes. But, if we're still in the low 5 figures, things of these natures, you can figure out a way to work to these goals. It'll take time, it'll take discipline, but it is possible. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And there we go. There's Ryan. What's up, Colossus? Again, I apologize. My voice is a little gone today, but we're going to work through it. So we had Erwin on months ago now. And at that time, it was right after he accomplished his goal of collecting the entire ASM run in its entirety, right? This is issue 1 to today. So this is over 1,000 issues plus the annuals, plus variant. I mean, this guy went nuts. And he just, if you follow him on Instagram, which if you don't, you should, Spider-Man Mustang, he just recently then added to the ASM collection the Crown Jewel. I think it's safe to say the Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
The AF-15. Look at that. It's raw. And it's raw.
It's raw.
So what we're going to talk about today is how he made his plan and how he stuck to his plan to meet and make this goal. Now, as we're going, and you guys are here live, if you have questions, by all means, shout them out. The one thing we're not going to talk about is the exact final price Erwin paid for the AF-15. We all have an idea ballpark-wise of what AF-15 costs. He did not find it at a garage sale for $5. So it's safe to say he paid what AF-15's cost, but we're going to talk about how he got there. So with that, Erwin, I want to start. We talked about this a little bit on your first time. Take us through the evolution of when you started collecting, and then you're like, you know what, I want to do this ASM thing. So talk to us first about that.
Well, first of all, it's hard to even focus on it when you're just collecting monthly books and, doing the bargain hunting. It's totally out of like my mind that I can accomplish AF-15. Even 2 years ago, I was talking to my cousin. He was like teasing me because I completed my run, and he's like, go for the AF-15 now. I'm like, no, I don't know, man. That's not even my scope of dreaming yet, because I'm good with my collection, and I just finished the ASM run. And then what happened was, I think going to about, you gotta look for it, and you gotta dream about is one thing, but talking to people that you normally talk to, or even reach out to people that you don't normally talk to, always hunting and looking, big's a huge deal, because it's the opportunity, right? I mean, of course you got to have the funds, you got to have the capital, right? You have to have books to trade, right, to get it for a dream grail. But you also have to know someone who's giving it out, trading it or selling it. And that was probably the biggest part of my obtaining it, because without that little initial conversation, knowing someone I worked with before in a deal, it would have wouldn't happen. Just it just wouldn't happen. And plus, it didn't give me the push that I needed to start focusing on that goal. I think one of my buddies on Instagram, Oman Comics, would say, like, when purpose comes clarity. So just having that alignment of a guy that's selling it, my dream of having one, because I just finished the ASM run, and there's a little bit of like, I got ASM. I mean, I could have been happy, right? I could have been happy because that's a lot of issues, and I'm still collecting it. I'm still collecting today's monthly stuff. I'm going to collect volume 7 that's coming out next month. So I'm still churning and adding to the collection.
Real quick, are you reading the new stuff that's coming out?
In and out, like, I'll read like issue 63, and I skip 65, 66, 67, and the current run I'm on right now, where he turns into Juggernaut. But I'll like just catch up and try to like reread back issues and try to catch up. But then I'll miss a few, because it's just there's so many times of the day you got your kids, your family, your wife, and it's tough to get all the reading in. But
yeah. And we should also add one more caveat to when we talk about these big goals. I think another thing too for us that aren't the ultra millionaires is, when Erwin's going after this book, when I've gone after some of the books I've gone after, we are not necessarily going for high grade copies, right? We're looking at entry level copies. So that, again, it helps bring this more back to reality for how we can do this. So I should mention that. All right, real quick, I want to ask, you had the ASM run. You were thinking about how you could do the AF-15. Did you at all think that, hey, I collected this ASM run, I've done it once, I could do a part of it again, and I could sell some of these keys to then use that money for the AF-15 and then recollect the keys? Because all those keys individually are smaller than AF-15.
Right.
Did that ever, I know you didn't do that, but did that at all come into the equation?
So some yes and no. There were some ones I couldn't let go. Like, I have multiple copies of ASM 129, and I sold my second copy before, and I regret it a little bit because it's such an awesome cover, first appearance of Punisher.
Yeah, it's my second favorite Spidey cover. It
is. And when you actually hold it, it's a different feeling than seeing it on a monitor and a printed book. Like, it's so different. When you open your package up, you're like, wow, that's a dope cover. So that's one of the issues. I did not want to resell my second copy. I wanted to get 2 copies, one semi-low grade, one high-end grade. So I did sell some duplicates, and also some key issues that I moved. And then I'll get to my story a little bit, like how I did it. But I did a lot of like Mercaris or people I knew in my circle of friends. And then I tried for the first time flea market. So I was actually a dealer in the flea markets. I didn't do a lot of flea markets. I just did one flea market to keep it simple. And I got a first taste as being a dealer, and the whole weird, everything that comes with it, right? You meet people. So you start talking to people, different faces, different backgrounds, and it's just a trip. So I did sell duplicates at the flea markets, some on Instagram. So different places I can find and meet people that, willing to do that sale trade or whatever.
Yeah, one thing I want to add there too, I think, because I've done a number of this where I have sold books to fund a bigger book. And there's a new LCS that opened up just a few minutes away from me, which is great because there wasn't anything really close to me that had like a good vintage selection. Now, am I going to be going there and buying lots of books? No, but I want to have a place that I can just go poke my head in every once in a while. Anyways, I was there, and on the wall, he had an ASM 252 and a Secret Wars 8. And we and him were already talking about like, how you can use, buy books to then trade books and, this whole process. And I saw those books. I go, when we're talking about this, I was like, to me, there has never been an easier book to move to do this exact thing than these 2 books. Like, everyone wants an ASM 252. Everyone wants the Secret Wars. At this point, I think I've owned them each maybe 4 times.
Right.
Because you can find them a deal. You'll get like an ASM 252 for like $90.
Yeah.
And then I could sell, and I've sold it for like $175. And it's just like, it's just like, if I had my options, like if I could do those 2 books like over and over again, like that'd be money. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, how about these books? These ones.
There you go. Capitalizing on momentum right there.
There you go. And
So
it's
for
funny,
those that don't know, that's the Spider-Man Brand New Day storyline. Which, if you haven't seen,
right?
yesterday they announced Spider-Man 4 is going to be titled Brand New Day. So there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
and
hey,
that's
take advantage, baby. I got nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and it's for fun, man. It's a hobby. It's semi-business, but not really. Like I talk to folks all the time. Like I'll give great deals because I'm getting a good deal on my AF-15. So it's just pushing it forward, right? And just talking amongst people, just really getting to know like what their needs are in trades or whatever. And
Yeah.
this little bunch of books, I got it because I was actually chasing after a newsstand copy of this. This is months ago too, before the whole hit. Oh, it hit the fan, and then I got a great deal for a whole bundle of them. It was like some closeout comic shop. So I
Yeah.
saw in his picture he had a newsstand. I was like, okay, I want that because that's the only thing I'm missing now. So I got all the variants on that issue, by the way. So I said, okay, I'll just keep it and just sit on it. And then here it is, like yesterday, news drops, boom, Brand New Day is like the movie
Perfect.
name. I was like, all right, let me start flipping it. Let me just start
Yeah.
flipping it.
Yeah. I know. I will say you brought up a good point. When pricing these books, when you want to fund, like, sure, you could do the research and calculate what FMV is, right? And let's just say, and I'll just use ASM 252, right? For whatever grade we'll say, let's just say FMV is $200. Now, I think it's what I like to do is just like you'd explained, we got kids, we got a wife, we got a job. We're not dealers, right? I don't have the time to like, you know, have these books, sitting somewhere. Like if I'm going to do this, I want to do it quick and I want to do
Mhm.
it fast and
Mhm.
easy. So let's just say FMV is 200. I usually sell like on a Facebook page and I'll just put them up $180, right? Because I know it's like a good deal and it'll sell like that. And
Mhm.
to me, that $20 on loss, we'll say, is well worth the time and ease to just get it out the door. Right.
Right.
So I'll like post a bunch of books and I'll have it. And I price them to move that day. And let's just say I
Mhm.
post 10 books.
Mhm.
I may get 3 that last the next day. What I'll
Mhm.
then do is I'll take the 3 books and say, hey, bundle price here. And then that usually goes instantly
Right.
too.
Right.
And it's funny too, because the last time I did that, someone like was like, these prices are too good. Is this a scam? And like I had to have a couple people come in and like be like, no, I can vouch for Rohan. Like he just wants to move these to fund whatever he's funding. Like you could
This
trust
on
him.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was funny. Like they came into this whole thing. This guy was like, I'm not sure. And it's just like, and I got a couple people to like jump in and be like, no, it's all good. And everyone got their books. Like, again, like I'm all about the speed. I ain't got the time to like deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
and I take offers. Like if it moves the book fast, I'm in. Like
Right.
I will
Right.
trade. You and I both work for Seed. I don't know if you heard the phrase, like I will trade speed for dollars, right? Like if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can make the deal now, I will give back a little money for that speed.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me because actually I sold and whatnot just a couple nights ago, first time ever.
I saw that. I was like, wait a minute.
So then there's this guy that bought a bunch of stuff off me, and I was giving great deals, like keys after keys after keys. Like I have a whole bunch of books here I've been sitting on. I'm like, I still can sell. So then he asked for this really old school, like Golden Age Bible stories comic.
Mm.
And
Oh,
then,
I think I've heard of that. I remember Bob, Mr. Longbox, was talking about that on his shit once.
yeah, I got that from Bucket Brothers like last year sometime. And then the guy's like, hey, just give me a great deal. Here's $40 for it. I was like, I maybe lost $10 on it, but he just bought a bunch of stuff that I did well. So I was like, fine, it's Lent. I'll hook you up, bro. Here you go. Here's a Bible story comic book from the Golden Age, 1944. Nice. So it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's just same feeling.
Yeah. Again, like I think the key here is like we're not relying on this sale as income. We're trying to just get to our goal book. And like for me, it's speed. And I'll take that every time. But yeah, let's go back to like, when did you decide? Tell me about like how you decided to make this kind of goal of ASM and AF-15.
ASM was an interesting story because it was like 5 years ago. I was in my LCS nearby, and is a really old school guy. He breathed comic books when he was a young kid. Made it big in some stocks with Microsoft at the time, and then as an employee, and then he left. He was tired of the whole grind. He was working 80 hours and stuff. Anyways, so here he is talking to me, and he goes, "So what are you focusing on?" I was like, "I don't know, anything that's shiny." He goes, "Oh man, you got to focus on a goal, man. Like you got to stick on something. Just pick one thing and stick to it." So ever since he said that, I've always been a Spider-Man fan. I've been a X-Men fan when I was in the 80s, and then Spider-Man was like my 90s goal because of just the Spider-Man cartoon, right? So when he said that, I started chasing Spider-Man books, like, and it was literally just one by one, like late 800 issues that I wasn't collecting in that era. So late ASM 800s was like, okay, here's $1, $4, $2, and I wasn't even connecting, tracking everything. And then slowly but surely, okay, so everything went crazy once I got to my last 200 issues. And then, in fact, on my avatar, my little profile pic, and these little things, I got done by Dr. Plagueis.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There you go.
This reminds me.
Shout out Jacob.
Yeah, shout out to Jacob for this. So I just got it this week. It was perfect timing because I'm shipping out my Whatnot books. This is what it feels like chasing ASM, by the way, Rohan. Dude,
yeah, I got one too.
All those guys on the floor, the Spider-Mans with their heads chopped off, and he's like so pooped. That's like a pure like feeling of trying to chase ASM. It was like crazy. So when it got to the last 200 issues, then I got serious. I was like tracking it on my CLZ app. Like, dude, this is all I need. Okay, boom. And I got like a fat deal at my local, another LCS nearby here in the Bay Area. Like I got like 50 issues knocked down, like 75% off. It was crazy. Then it was a run. It was like that was this August 2022, and then 2023 I was getting closer. Then by 2024 I hit it. I was done. So with the AF-15, that going back to the guy who sold me the ASM-1, Benny Collects.
Oh yeah, I follow him.
We had a deal done with ASM-1. I completed it, and it's funny thing is though, like he goes, "Hey, since you just finished your ASM-1, guess what? This came up," and then we started talking. He's like, "I'm about to post this, and what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!"
So he reached out to you.
No, we were talking.
Oh yeah,
just,
okay.
Just talking how things are going. What are you looking for? What are you collecting? Just chatting, DMing, and he goes, "Yeah, I have this A15. It's raw and this is this." I was like, "Yeah, shoot me a picture." And I was drooling because, dude, besides being A15, the fact that it's raw, it's so hard to find a raw book.
Yeah,
it's so hard to find a raw version of that. And I have no hate. I want to like preface this too as well. I have no hate with slabbing books. I have no hate with people collecting variants and foil covers and bad idea like FOMO stuff. It's everyone has their own little version of where they're jumping into the hobby, right? But for me, I love the raw book. It's got to be raw most of the time if I can get it. So when I saw it being raw, I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, what do you think on their price? What do you think about trading this? And it got real serious real fast. Like, let's hold it for me and we'll work out a deal, and then we'll work out a long-term plan on that. So because of that relationship, because of that knowing that book is going to be up, and that we just started talking like what will work for both of us to win. And that's why I mentioned earlier in the interview that you got to be looking, and I wasn't looking really for A15, but it just happened to be there, and then things started lining up real fast. Like, oh shoot, this is a great opportunity. I need to jump on this, make things work out. So then focus was kicking in. The focus really like, okay, here we go. What I need to do now to afford this and get it going in 1 year. So that's how I got real focused, dialed down. Like, with purpose comes clarity. Let's go. A15, let's go.
I want to make 2 points here. And you mentioned this earlier, and I meant to bring it up. You talked about you saw someone else kind of do it and it kind of really motivated you. It is true how competition is a very powerful motivator. Like when you see someone else that's your good buddy, got the big book, and you're like, shoot, that's the book I want. Like he did it. I got to do it. And like, that is a powerful motivator.
Right.
2, I will say, just taking the story that you just talked about, how you had already worked out deals with Monkey Brothers. And then as you were talking, he brought that up. Something I would recommend to anyone is do create relationships with the dealers. Now, what's great, at least that I have found on the IG community, is most of those dealers that are on IG are really welcoming community type of guys. And your relationship doesn't have to be that you buy books from him every other week, right? Like there are a number of dealers that I just chat with every once in a while, and like we keep in touch, and it's like I buy 3 books a year, right? And it's like there's no issue there. But what's great is in those conversations, just like he knew about you, I too have also been like, this is what I'm going for next, right? And that's how I've gotten a number of my books. It's just that when they came across it, they reached out, or when we were in conversation, hey, Rohan, weren't you looking for Gym 83? Yeah, that's what's my next book. Well, look what just came in. Do you want to talk about this before I post it? And I've said yes, and sometimes I've said no because it wasn't right. It wasn't wasn't ready, whatever the reason. But those relationships do help move you along in accomplishing these goals.
Right.
So I think that's a key thing. So again, don't think you have to be buying books upon books on books to make relationships.
That's a good point.
Just reach out and talk to people. Again, my experience, at least on IG, is everyone is very welcoming and very community oriented. Obviously, there are a few bad apples, right? And reach out to me if you need, hey, who are some good people to chat with on this kind of thing? And I'll give you some dealers that, I talk with. So, yeah.
And that's the great point, because it's all about learning about what's available and talking to people. I think a lot of times we just assume again, it's going back to your other prefaces that, we don't expect everyone to chase this, right? But if you are thinking of chasing it, and I've given some great advice to other folks that are like, hey, dude, that's my book. I said, hey, it's possible, man. Like, I didn't think it was possible. It just happened to happen. Just step on my lap, just lay on the table. Like, dude, you want it? You got to work for it. Let's just go. Let's chase this now. So it's really just opportunity. And like, it might present itself if you're always in the circles of friends and on IG or whatever, right? You're always talking to people like, hey, that's my grail. That's my grail.
Yeah. So, keep talking about it, because that help brings the momentum. And again, what is the saying? Like, how do you eat an elephant? You just start with the first bite. And again, something like AF15, if you really want it, right? Obviously it's one of the biggest books out there.
Yeah.
And depending on your situation, it could take a lot of time. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take time, but you can do it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And that's what's crazy is that I learned it from chasing my ESM run. So if I got all 1,000 issues with crossovers and annuals and invariants and cover A's, I can do it with AF15, right? It's just focus. So it's possible, but it's easier said than done, right? So everyone strays away from like, oh man, I'll never get that book. But I mean, you'll be surprised, right? If you just apply some little discipline and some focus, like slowly chewing away on that elephant.
Yeah,
you'll get that grail.
Yeah, you'll get there. Let me ask, since you brought it up, so are you intending to keep it raw, at least for the entirety that you have it?
Good question. So I've thought about that, and I think I mentioned it to you. It feels weird if I was going to send to CGC, which I haven't sent anything like a raw book unsigned to CGC. I have not done that. I've always sent stuff that are signed, of course, because I want to get authenticated, like at a convention. But I've never sent anything like raw to get graded. I've never done that. So part of me feels weird, a vintage comic book that creates that percentage that CGC takes because it's a vintage book.
4%.
It doesn't feel right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving 4% if I don't have to, right? If I appreciate the book the way it is, then what do I have to do? Why do I have to like follow the masses because it's a thing to do? For me, I'm good with the raw. And maybe my boys would want to do with slab it maybe in the future, but when they want to, that's the plan. Is just, this is like the inheritance for my boys. It's just the full ASM run and the AF15 combined. So, I mean, right now I think I'm okay. I mean, I could change my mind, right? Right now I'm saying I'll keep it raw, but if things change, I might send it to CGC. But for now, I'm happy. I'm happy the way it is.
I want to add to, if you guys don't follow Erwin, again, Spider-Man Mustang on Instagram, when he got his AF15 and he posted, it's a great post because he shows it raw and then he flips through it. And what I was going to say is like, I knew, but I totally forgot. You pointed out in your post that Ben Parker, Uncle Ben, he didn't actually say the great line we credit him to saying. It was just like a line that Stanley wrote in there, and it comes from Ben, but he doesn't actually say the line, with great power comes great responsibility. So I really appreciate that in your post. I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say on the slabbing, I think that's a great approach. I will say, like, the one thing I think you think about, even if you are a raw collector, something like AF15, like there's also like, you can have these situations where it's like, you know what, it's just too valuable that like from like almost like an insurance and estate planning type of purpose, you're like, I'm going to grade it because it establishes a known market value on it, right? For if your boys want to sell it, it's an easier sell. If God forbid your house there's a fire, something like that. Like it allow something of that level of value. There is some security in behind grading it, but I also support the whole thing. Like, why pay 4% when I can put that towards my next gold book?
Right, exactly. And then there's a comment, right? Put in a UV protected slab. It is UV. There's like a clear board that's UV protected on top of it, so it is protected. Don't worry. I forgot who made that comment. I forgot to catch it there at the bottom.
Yeah, the comic collector coach.
Comic collector coach. Yeah.
So when you were talking with Bunky Brothers, what did you at least estimate the grade for this copy?
Oh, so Bunky Brothers, I got another book from, but this is from Benny Collects.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry, Benny Collects.
So yeah, this is estimated to be like a 1 to 1.5.
Yeah. Okay. And then I assume, is there any restoration or anything like that?
No. I mean, if it's a low grade, I didn't catch anything. I mean, the restoration is really the ones that are like, they look so clean. It looks, you double check, right? This is not clean at all. It's been through the ringer, right? It's pretty rough.
I am curious. Again, obviously it's a big book, it's a big purchase. Because it is raw, did you trust Benny B, you've worked with him before? Or like did you guys, how did you like do your due diligence since it is raw?
So again, that came up right in our discussions, right? When they're DMing each other, I'm like, dude, can you prove, like, can you take more photos for me, like every angle, every page? So he kindly did that for me because it, of course, is a serious book. So he would page by page, did videos of it, and I felt comfortable enough. I've seen retouch done on an ASM 300 that I've buttoned twice on, one by mistake and one I knew was on there. So I have an idea like what I'm looking for on some. Mind you, I don't know much about Silver Age retouching, but I mean, I'm pretty comfortable. Let's just say I'm pretty comfortable that it's good, right? And like I said, if it's like a pristine copy with like really sharp corners, then okay, was it trimmed? Was there some coloring going on the spine? Trying to hide a defect. But I mean, it looks good to me.
Yeah, man, and those colors are great.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the emotions you had when you got the package and you were opening up the box.
Man. So I had to bring my family involved on it. So then I told my wife, like, hey, can you video record me doing this? Can you record me opening this up? And another guy was mentioning, like, dude, you should have sat down, right? He saw my post. Like, didn't you want to sit down somewhere? I was like, no, man, I was too excited. I was waiting too long. There's like the delay with the whole shipment with USPS. I was like, oh my God. I had like some PTSD to this one time I got gypped by some fraud guy in North Carolina. And I was like, oh my God, please don't be this again. But I knew Benny because I was like, what am I doing? Like, I know Benny. He hooked me up before. So I was like, oh my God, USPS, don't lose it. But luckily I signed up on insurance on it, a third party. And I'm glad because I watched this through Reggie Collects. He has a great video on like, third party insurance.
Well, so talk about that. I don't know about that. Talk to me about what you do.
See, not a lot of people know this. People think they should trust FedEx, USPS, UPS for their.
I will tell you, like USPS recently has like given me some stress.
Yeah. So the thing is that there's a third party company that can cover your whole collection. On top of that, they also, I don't know if you can buy it separate, but if it covers your collection, you can get an insurance where any collectible being mailed to you or you're mailing it to somebody else is insured through their coverage. So
is that the collectibles insurance group?
Exactly, CIS.
So did you have to how did you set up for the delivery insurance? How did you set that up?
Oh, you do it before, you do it before just so you can keep. So
did you just go online to your account and just like fill out a quick thing, or?
Yeah, pretty much. And you just fill out that quick survey, and then somebody reaches out to you via email. Then they call you like, "Hey, it's so and so. I'm here to just double check on your coverage. What do you want to cover? And this is this. Can you it's pretty easy."
So what is it? So I know you can get like a plan that covers. Let's say I think it's like $25K is like $230 a year or something like that. What is their like delivery like for an AF-15? Like, what did that cost you if you don't mind sharing that cost?
So I think it's standard from what they have in their fine print that I read. So the most that they can cover is $65K or something. From what I read from their paperwork. So, and that's, of course, it's going to be covering through all the major delivery companies. So that huge peace of mind when I did that. Yeah, that definitely seems worth it, especially with USPS now. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm someone when whatever it is I get,
and I get the tracking number. I check it every day to see like, okay, it's in Philadelphia and now it's in Chicago and now it's I like and USPS, I feel like in the last year has just been like delivered and then almost like no update until like out for delivery. And I'm like, Jesus, guys, what is going on here? Like,
yeah, actually, I learned just recently. Comic traders in Canada just said that their normal guy that delivers from Canada to Montana to ship it out to all their customers, they're actually short staffing folks because of the Doge, agency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, so that one guy used to have 4 guys to help him, so it's one employee that's shipping out 2,000 packages a week.
Oh.
So that could be it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So go back to the opening. You were opening it, excited. Like, was there a celebration or like take me through this experience?
Yeah. So if you see the post I did show the whole opening, like fast speed going through it. And then what happened after that? I was just like looking at it for a long time. Then my cousin's like, "Hey, dude, that's crazy. Is that the first appearance?" Because he doesn't know comic books as much as like the old stuff as me, and has like he collects comic books, but not like a serious collector. He just was like, "Yeah, dude, this is Amazing Fantasy 15. This is the first appearance. This is like the last piece I needed." So I was just like, I was quiet. I was just looking at it. And in fact, when I was like turning the pages, not recording it, just turning the pages, I was like shaking, man. And I do my own press and cleaning before when I had time. I used to do my own press and cleaning, old books, new books, it didn't matter. Like I was comfortable with paper, basically just being comfortable with paper when you do pressing and cleaning. So when I was touching this, I was like, I'll be fine. No, I was not fine. I was not fine. My cousin's trying to talk to me and I'm like, bro, I don't even know what you're saying right now. He's like, dude, the new episode of Daredevil coming out? I was like, bro, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I'm just going to focus on this one page I'm turning right now. I just want to absorb this joy. Like if I'm stressing on the joy, it's like, yeah, that was a crazy feeling.
You talked about how this is all going to go to your kids. Do they understand the gravity of what you did here yet?
No, my boys are small. I started late in life and starting a family, so they're still small. They don't understand. It's cool to them.
Are they Spider-Man fans?
Oh, of course. Okay. It's kind of like ingrained already.
Nice.
Well, my eldest is like, the whole Spider-Man song, the Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like he does that all the time. He jumps around different stuff, but yeah, he's Hey, thanks, Omega.
Yes, Jason, what's up, man?
Yeah. So my boy knows. He kind of knows. He's like, oh, what's that? Then whatever. Like I will not hand it to him for sure because he's done a lot of crazy stuff with cheap books. I was like, go ahead, have fun with it.
Not with this one though.
Yeah, not with this one. Go have fun with the Facsimile 181.
Yeah.
That's fine. But not this baby. No. But yeah, I think one day they'll see it. And I think what's fun, hearing stories of people like holding down something and passing it on. It's like a cool story that I'm blessed to be able to like pass this on. Hopefully, like nothing happens, right? Like anything can happen.
Yeah.
But hopefully it stays, right? It's like an heirloom kind of thing, and
for sure, it's a legacy.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, awesome. So kind of let me ask, thinking about the future, then, what are you thinking about? Like you did this. Is there a next? What is next?
So I did talk about it with a couple of friends, like upgrading copies, maybe chasing variants. This is the one I got here, which is a tough variant to get. A modern variant, of course, modern. So
I saw this the other day on Elite. They had a 9.8 of this book, and I'd never seen this book, and it was I think $13,000.
Yeah, I think it was
10, and someone claimed it. Because I saw it, I was like, "What the hell is this thing? $10,000? What a joke!" And then someone claimed it like an hour later. I was like, "What the hell? Like, what is this book?"
So this guy's a famous New York artist, Jason Pollan, Polan. So Pollan, Mr. Pollan, was a famous artist, street artist, and he was commonly found like on the street scribbling like architecture, just street life, New York life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know too much about the guy because I just learned from him because of the covers he did. And he did a cover for J.J. Abrams' run with his son. He wrote, remember that? Mm-hmm. There was a J.J. Abrams did a little 5-series miniseries, and he did a cover for that. And he did this cover for volume 5, issue 20. and this is super hard to find. I mean, super hard to find, man. It's tough. It's really tough. And this is not near mint by all means. This is probably like a fine copy. I'm good with that. I'm okay because at this point, like any bonus, it doesn't have to be near mint no more. I'm happy with my collection. I'm just chasing like variants, whatever I can get a great deal. So that's pretty much my goal, is just to add on to the ASM run.
So you're still just sticking with Spidey then?
Yeah, and occasionally whatever good deals I get, like some DC keys, if it's like first appearance of Teen Titans or Loeb or whatever, things like that will pop up. I have those already, but just etc. Like those kind of things will pop up. I'll grab it if it's a great deal, but it's not something I'm like, because I was telling my cousin, like, dude, once I get the A15, it's like downhill from now. Like, actually, it's crazy. It's almost like a freeing feeling as a collector. Like, do I need that? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like, other ways around, like you'd be like, oh, dude, I gotta get that. I gotta get that. You get that, like, that Dave Chappelle, like, what I mean? Like, you get that, yeah. You know what I mean? You get that itch, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, it's a weird feeling because you almost like free yourself of like the stress of like, should I grab it? Should I do it? And I mean, it's kind of cool.
What's interesting is, again, like we talked about earlier, how the books that you have, you got them. So it's like you did that, right? You can sell them and you can get them again. They're a lot easier to get than the bigger book. And it is funny, I have found, and I don't think I'm alone here, when you do that sometimes, you realize how okay you are with not having to go back and get it. For example, my most recent was the Jim 83. And to fund it, I was like, you know what? I'm really into this, like the Silver Age and a couple of the Bronze Keys. Like, let me use all these copper books that I've collected and some of the other Bronze Keys I've collected that aren't as special to me. And let me just, if I want, I can go back and get them. And so, like, in those ages are some of my favorite characters: Gambit, Cable, Rogue. These are obviously characters that we all knew and grew up with. And, I was like, and I can get them again later. Anyways, I was able to sell them all. It 100% funded my Jim 83. And now I'm like, I don't really need an X-Men 266 personally. Again, this is just me personally. But like, it's just like, it's funny how like, once you do it, you're like, all right, let's keep doing this and working towards those. So it's funny how your changes, your tastes evolve.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, for sure. That's one thing. Yeah, you're right, Ron. Like, that's one thing I did not notice that probably changed in my collecting habits and my goals, because it did change big time. Because now I'm good. Like, I'm pretty content. And like the guy I was mentioning the story, the guy that did the whole Microsoft, and then he opened a comic book store. Like, he has old books and he's kind of content because he deals with comic books all the time. So he doesn't collect anything at all. Like, it's rare. He pick one book a year now. And like, if it's available at a great price and the timing is right, he'll pick it up. But it's like almost one book a year is his thing now, because he's happy with the collection. So I might eventually evolve to that, grumpy old guy, like, I got all my stuff I need, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's hard to explain this when, someone who's just collecting variants, right? And they like, what is this guy talking about? But it's just, that's how it is now, because once you reach a goal, it's kind of like, okay, what else is next? Like, I don't have to stress about grabbing something that Jim 83 is nice, but for me, it'll be nice to own, but I don't really have to chase it anymore.
Yeah.
With Grails, because I got one Grail that I always wanted.
And I think what's cool too, something I like now, again, everyone obviously collect how you want to collect, right? I'm not trying to tell people to do, but I think it's really fun and more significant when you can see someone's collection and there's a consistent theme to, like, oh, okay, I see what Erwin's about, right? I can look at his collection and I know where his focus is. I know what his passion is. And it's, for you, obviously it's ASM and it's Spider-Man, right? And you can see that with a lot of other people. Like, for me, like, I like to be if you look at my collection, again, it's like 25 books and it's like, they're all first appearances. Like, obviously that's what I'm into. Like, I like seeing the consistent theme for it. We got a question here though. What about foreign variants of these? Are you going after those in this collection?
I actually did pick a couple from FNK Rad, and he posted almost something really cheap, right? And I couldn't help it, because one of my favorite issues, I think, is the first appearance of Morlun, right? The whole vampire mystique that JMS did, J. Michael Straczynski. So he posted like an Italian version and I think a German version. and it was decent price. I was like, all right, claim. It's like, yeah, sure. It's one of my favorite issues. It's a J. Scott Campbell cover with all these thieves and a ball of webbing. So I was like, yeah, give me that. I'll take it. So foreign variants, I am picking slowly. Like, one variant though, man. When I was in the Philippines, and again, David FKN underscore rad, told me about a Filipino version of ASM 300. And he claims that it's the most rare version of ASM 300.
There was one on Instagram this week, and it sold for like $7,000.
Is it from him or is it from somewhere else?
I don't remember. I saw it though this week. You could tell because like the box down at the bottom where like a newsstand box would be, there was something there that was different in the Philippine version.
Right, and that's the only way you'll notice it first in that box, and also in the top left corner under the Marvel box, the price is like Philippines, and it says pesos 10 pesos.
Oh, okay.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
so did you get a Philippine variant then?
Dude, it's so hard. It's a hard game in bargain hunting over there, dude. It's tough. There's not much like digging, and I wouldn't know where to go. Like I tried talking to my wife's family, like, hey, where can I dig old books? Like I'm talking about 80s. I'm trying to find this issue, and they're like, it's tough. There's these weird flea market stuff that they have like in Spain that's similar, like a flea market setup with a bunch of books stacked, and you just got to dig, and like even that's not even a surefire because there's random stuff in this weird flea market setup kind of store. Not
to mention, like, I don't even know if you were like someone that like wanted to go to the like, I'm gonna collect every foreign version I don't even know how you research every foreign version. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, I once like I'm personally not into the foreign stuff, but one time on IG I did see an ASM 1 and it was an Indian version, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, right? Like, I'm Indian, like that's pretty cool. Now I didn't buy it, but I was like that, and then I ended up, I can't remember what is his name now. Shoot, I can't remember. And he showed that there's something like he had an AF-15 that was an Indian version, and he actually showed that there are like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 different versions from India alone.
That's crazy.
And I was like, okay, like I'm not even gonna think about that. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, it gets crazy. I think there is other folks on IG that's strictly foreign. Like once I opened the door to that Pandora box, like foreign copies, they started hitting me up like, oh, you want to look into foreign copies? Like, check this out. And all they do is sell foreign copies, like Danish, Switzerland, you know what I mean? Like Swiss, European, like Russian. It's like nonstop all day.
I will say that on some of them, like I'm not the biggest believer in the super expensive ones oftentimes, just because like let's just take an AF-15. You'll see someone be like, oh, here's an AF-15, and I'm just making stuff up right now. It's the Dutch version of AF-15, super rare, and they'll have a big price on it. My issue is oftentimes, like, why AF-15 has value is because it's the first appearance of Spider-Man, right? Oftentimes, the foreign variations of these books are actually printed years, sometimes even decades later. And so it's like, it's cool that it's foreign, but to me, Spider-Man has already been around for 15 years when this book came out. So technically, even though it's the first in Holland, let's just say in this example, it's not the first appearance. So I can't attach the same value personally to it. But again, if that's your jam, you do it up. I just saying that's kind of where I stand on it.
That reminds me of Neville. You know Neville?
Yeah. I follow him.
That reminds me of him because he's Australian, so it's more important for him to collect Australian versions. Like he's showcasing his Daredevil 1 Australian version that's hella hard to find, some Australian artist that's popular out there during that time, and they printed in the 70s or whatever. So that's cool. But I agree with you. Like, it's not the same, connection. It's not the same connection. For me, that'd be dope if I had an ASM 300 Filipino edition because it's,
yes, your
my roots, right?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dope. But like, I'm not dying to get it. I mean, like, again, it goes back to the story. Like, I got my 15, so everything's downhill for me.
Yeah. So then on the upgrade train, do you think you'll ever come to the point where like, all right, let's upgrade AF-15 now? It's
funny because another opportunity popped up and some guy's trying to like downgrade his AF-15. And then I was like, timing's not right, but it'd have been dope if I were able to do it the difference, the price difference. I was like,
but that is something that you see often, right?
yes,
You see it a lot
lately.
because like again, AF-15 is such big value that you will see guys that have like, hey, I have a 2.5. I'm happy to trade down to a 1.5 because it's still AF-15. It's
Right,
still
right,
huge value, and they're like,
right,
and it opens up some cash for them.
right.
So yeah, I think those opportunities will be available. So it's safe to say it entered your mind, which means that I would say whether or not it happens, it is something that's in the realm of possibility in the future for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you never know, right? Like I
Yeah.
said, you never know what could happen. Like I hold this collection for a long time or not, but right now it's going to be in the collection for a long time. The full ASM run and then the A15 for now.
How are you? So I mean, we're talking over 1,000 books here. Where do these 1,000 books live?
In this room that I'm currently in right now, it's
Okay.
crazy. It's crazy. Just like you can see in my closet mirror.
Yeah.
So that's the top of my drawer short boxes, and it's below that. It's just like 18 boxes. It's just 18 short boxes, just full of the
Now,
Clone Saga from the 90s. The what was a bunch of crossovers. I even included what else? Civil War from the 2000s, the Mark Millar run. So I kind of like shoved it in there. There's not like a rhyme and reason to it. I just feel like it's an important series that needs to belong with the ASM run. So that's just how I did it. Not everyone's going to agree to that, but that's just I love to keep it together because the story belongs to Spider-Man.
do you find yourself kind of thumbing through the short boxes ever, or are you just like, it's there, I
All the
have
time.
it all the
All
time?
the
That's
time.
great.
Like
That's
because I'm
great.
upgrading stuff. I'm checking what is this better? I wrote my notes in CLZ app, so I'm like, is this still better though? Should I keep it or should? And sometimes I don't know what to pick, so I'll just like sell this one or I'll keep both. You know what I mean? It's yeah, and because I'm upgrading or because I'm adding variants, I'm not adding an extra box for variants. I'm putting it into my actual full run, and that's just my choice. I know some guys are like, dude, that's crazy, man. You put a different box of variants. It's like, I'll just keep it all together. So it's like fully. So I'll have to.
I think again, it's not something I'm doing, but if I did, I think I would do it your way, right? Like if this is issue 10, I would put all the issue 10 variants with it, and then 11,
Right.
and
Right.
then so on and so forth. Like, yeah, I would do it the same way.
Right. Another cool thing with this whole journey, when I was being a dealer, I'm talking to people at flea markets. I get a lot stuff that you did recently in some interviews with Min Hunter and Cheddar. You just get people to bring stuff to you or say, I got some things I want to trade or sell to you. So that did happen. So not knowing a mortar brick store, but being in a flea market, you meet all kinds of people. So during that time, I would take those books and then trade it or sell it and get to my goal. So that did happen while selling my own books. I did get other people's collections. And
so you just did your first Whatnot sale, but you have been selling at flea markets then prior to this.
Yeah.
Okay. I am curious, in that flea market world, did you ever trade a non-comic book item for comic books?
No, it did not happen. It's a small flea market, I guess, because it's not the crazy large ones. But that didn't happen. Yeah, but I did trade with other comic book vendors. I was like, me and my other buddy, Adobo Ninja, like we would trade with our other friend that opened a stall that didn't know we were there. Like, oh, there's other comic books here. So he was also selling. So we traded, and
I always wonder, like, I wish if I had the time, I feel like should go and learn about Pokemon and use like Pokemon to fund comics, because like nothing is hotter than Pokemon. But I just I don't have the time to go and figure out what is what with Pokemon.
That's a whole new world, bro.
Yeah.
Brother, that's a crazy world.
I know, and it's just like, dang, but it's like a hot market.
Growing up, there was never a card game besides Garbage Pail Kids or sports cards that lasted that long. Like, there's never in the game of card collecting Magic, but Magic wasn't crazy in the 90s. It was there, but it wasn't like the full spectrum of like society was not into Magic. Pokemon, they just went crazy. Every age, every demographic, like it was everywhere.
Yeah, and I know nothing about it.
Yeah, me neither.
But that definitely seems like a good avenue if you have the time to learn about it. Like you could do some damage there.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I guess again, so let's go back to so kind of the goal, the mountain is climbed. You know, are you like, should I take a break, or are you still just like this is a constant evolution?
I don't know. This is not a break. I had that feeling when I got the ASM run, though. When I did the ASM run, I had that like, oh, what do I do? So I guess I learned from that feeling, like, hey, you know, I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna like move books, sell books, trade books. You know what I mean? Like it's all about adding to that ultimate collection I have. And then, so I mean, I didn't take a break. It was kind of like, all right, what else can I move? What can I get? What can I trade? What can I sell? You know what I mean? Like it's constant. Like I was in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another point. You got to be in the game, right? So if you're collecting, and then what we're talking about right now in the interview, you're in the game. Eventually, you'll get that goal, right? If you're talking to people, you're learning about this is available, this trade is available, this book's available. Eventually, it will come. I mean, it's going to hit you. But if you're cool with just being like, I'm going to collect what's on the stands, whatever, you know what I mean? It's fine. That's totally fine. But again, this whole interview is for speaking to those folks that are in the game, they're hunting, you know, it'll come if you just stick with it, talk to people. And then that goal just hits you. And that's what it hit me like a bug. I'm like, oh my God, okay, let's go. I got the pictures saved on my phone for a full year. I'm looking at it like, dude, let's go to the next flea market. What can I sell? What can I move? And I got like really common customers coming back. So it's cool. I had my little circle of customers coming back to the flea market every month, and I was moving books. I was moving my duplicate of ASM 1 annual for Sinister 6. I didn't want to sell it because it was like same copy edition. I was like, nah, man, A15 is better. Like, okay, here we go. So I sold it for a good deal. I made a little bit of money, but all about moving a book.
Yeah.
So,
Colossus brings up a good point here. I am curious. Do you at all want to dabble in ASM original art?
yeah. So my friend again, Omen Comics, is like, yo, there's a guy here in our chat. You should talk to him. And we talked a little bit. Actually, yeah. I don't know. I have another buddy that also helped me with this vision of creating a full run of a title. He has a full run of Uncanny X-Men, and he has actually a good handful of OA, right? Original art. But I don't know. It doesn't hit me. Like, it's cool, but and I get it, right? It's one of one, but like it doesn't hit as much.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's fair. I do think though, like in what Colossus is talking about, I'm kind of with him. And then like oftentimes you hear people talk about like the end game, like what is the end game? And someone like, you know, take some of that thinks like that, they could get to what you get. And they're like, okay, now I'm done. The way I look at it is like, I like to have big goals. I like to accomplish goals. But for me, like Colossus said, there's always something bigger or better that I want to then hunt down after that goal. Or, you know, or there's always something else that I could find interest in. To me, I never think about an end goal. I just think about, am I enjoying the hobby? And if the answer is yes, there doesn't need to be an end game.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I don't need to. It's just like, because it's fun to, like you said, be in the game.
Right.
It's fun. And so as long as that answer is yes, I'll find something that I want to chase, whether it be another book or original art. But Colossus makes a good point here. You just got to get one piece, baby.
I thought about commissions, right? Buying a commission, selling it, you know, giving money to an artist, pick what you want in the layout, and then having the commission. I've thought about that. I mean, but buying original art, it makes sense, right? It's worth the value, right? Because people are following Jim Lee, they're following Todd McFarlane, so the value is going to be always high.
I will say, and actually, I should say, like, I've actually been lining up a few folks in the coming weeks that I really want to, that are OA guys,
right?
And because I want to talk about OA, I think, and I've started to kind of branch into OA. But one thing I'll say about it is, even though everything is one of one, you still have to find your lane because there is so much, right? When you think about it, if a comic book has 16 pages, that's 16 pieces of OA, right? Then you got the covers and the there's a lot of OA, and you got to think just because it's OA and it's one of one does not mean it's as significant to you personally as the AF-15. Or for example, I'm a big Silver Surfer fan, and I would like to one day, I grew up in the 90s like a lot of us here. So who drew the Silver Surfer in the 90s? Ron Lim, right? Ron Lim introduced me to the Surfer. I want to one day get a good page of a Ron Lim Silver Surfer. However, like, that's going to be a 90s book. And if you tell me like, hey, Rohan, like, why don't you trade your Jim 83 for just, because I mean, OA, even if it's not much, it's still pretty pricey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like, that's the thing is like, I want the Silver Surfer page, but to me, again, this is my personal bias. I enjoy the Jim 83 more, even though Silver Surfer is my favorite character. Now,
right.
If it was like, hey, Rohan, this Jim 83 for this like page from FF48 of Surfer by Jack Kirby. Now that's a little different, right?
Yeah.
But when it's like a random page, non-key, it's still expensive.
Yep. Right.
It's not the same to me. I mean, for some people it may be and maybe better, but for me, I like the more significant related item. That being said, like, I still have plans to find a way to get my kind of Ron Lim page eventually. But still, my point being, even with OA, you've got to still narrow your lane.
Yeah.
Like, so in your case, it could be like, I just want to collect Spider-Man original art.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing because you can get lost there buying anything and everything that you can with comics.
Yep.
And then you're kind of spread thin all over.
Yeah.
So just because everything's a one of one, don't think that, you still want to kind of, figure out where it is you want to focus.
Right. I mean, just like buying variant covers, right? You can get lost buying exclusive covers all day, every day, but that doesn't mean they're going to be equal value to the ratio or to the exclusive, it's not the same thing. So that OA stuff has a whole new ball game, right? Because one simple, really weird one of one page is like really boring. It's not gonna be worth like the full spread of 608 Batman, Jim Lee. It's not the same. The value, it's one of one, but it's not the same value. It's going to be a totally different.
It's all about how much you would enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Like, for some people, that art, no matter what, is going to be better, and that's fine. Right. I think you and I are on the same wavelength. It depends on the book. It depends on the piece of OA.
Yep.
That being said, like, I hope to get into a little bit more OA. Excuse me.
You have something right now? Did you buy an OA?
So I have got two pieces. So I've told you, like, a silver. So where I've decided, like, if I'm going to do OA, what I want to look for is published page wise, it would be Silver Surfer, right? So again, my first one I want ideally to be like a Ron Lim page, right? And then where it goes from there, it'll still probably be in the Silver Surfer page. The other thing that I want to focus on in the OA game is what got me into Marvel as a child in the early 90s is 1990, 1991, and 1992 Marvel Universe Series 1, Series 2, Series 3 Marvel cards.
Right.
And there is nothing more nostalgic to me than those cards. Now, those cards, you can get them on eBay all day, every day. And I even have my sets from my childhood.
Yeah.
You can find OA for those sets. And that is where I want to focus. It's, I wish I had known about this a decade ago because I could have scooped up some sweet stuff. But there is some stuff available. So I'll show you one thing here. Give me a sec. It's right here next to me.
Those cards you're talking about, when you talk about it, I think about 9.9 Newsstand and Manu and his infatuation with the cards. Like, he goes crazy hard on those cards, like everything connected to the cards.
So the way they made those cards is they had whoever the artist was. So those Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3 is all original art.
Right.
There's a number of card sets that they just reuse comic art. So obviously the original art would be the comic page or whatever that it came from.
Yeah.
Those series those are the first series sets that had the original art for the cards specifically.
Yeah.
So, and I've gotten two of these now, but what they did is, so like said artist, so in this case it's Lee Weeks. He penciled it, he inked it, right? Nice. That page is one piece of OA for the card. They then made a acetate overlay copy of that inked image,
Okay.
and they sent that to Paul Mounts, who's the colorist for that entire Series 1, Series 2, and 3. He then painted, like colored those, and that colored original art is then what was used to print the card.
Right.
So obviously the more valuable component is the pencils and inks.
Wow.
But you can also find the finish painted originals.
Wow.
So that's what I got here. That's
crazy.
This is from Series 2 or Series 3. This is a Captain America.
Yeah, can I zoom in?
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's so cool because you see the actual original art on it. It's like a different size. You know, like we see the big spreads on the interior pages of comic books. This is the actual original for the cards. That's pretty dope.
So this is the original, paintwork. So again, this is not the original pencils and inks. Right. This is what was used though after those were done, overlay, and then he painted it. So this is the painted original and what was used to make the copy. So like on this one, you can see I got there's the card, and then on the back of the card they have the individual heads. So I got this came with the individual.
Oh, that's crazy, bro.
2 painted pieces.
Awesome. Congrats, man.
So I got that, and I have one other one it's kind of tucked away right now, but this one was ready to go, so I figured.
Right.
So those series.
What's your other one? What's the other one you own that's tucked away?
Oh yeah, so it's from Series 1, so 1990. Same thing. It's the painted original of the battle card of Wolverine versus Sabretooth.
What?
Yeah, I'll send you the picture after we jump off here. I'll send you the picture of it.
So how did you come across that? Was it just like Heritage, or you know what I mean? Is it like a public place?
Yeah, so I actually got those I found them on eBay.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, but you can search through Heritage and you'll see a lot of these went like in not so far away for really cheap because people just didn't know about them.
Right.
So they are out there. You just got to keep your eyes out open for them. So when it comes to OA, that's kind of my primary focus.
That's your lane.
Because nothing else is more nostalgic to me. And again, like just like with comics, I'm not going to be a volume guy. Like I'm not. I don't even have the assets it takes to be a volume OA collector is a whole nother ball game, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm happy to add a piece here and maybe another piece next year, that kind of thing. That's totally fine with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, bro. So do you have an end game on that?
No, there's no end game for me. Again, the end game is if I'm not having fun, I'm done. As long as I'm having fun, I'm here.
Right.
Colossus, I'm not gonna lie. If I come across one of those from those sets of Colossus, I would say, in the scenario where I had a Colossus and you had another one, I would trade with you because I know you're a Colossus guy.
Nice.
But I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think I could sell. I would trade. I don't know if I could sell because I just love that stuff. And like for me, those sets, it doesn't matter the character. Because I loved them all. Like I used to just flip through those cards.
For sure.
I wasn't a comic reader. I read the backs of those cards that had the entire bios on them. That was how I got into Marvel. And so it's like, even though like Silver Surfer obviously would be the pinnacle of that, but like I've seen like there was on Heritage I found like there was a couple like random ones like Invisible Woman. Like I would take that. Like I'd be happy with that, right? Like I loved all of those cards. So
what was your favorite memory when you were collecting it? Like were you trading in the schoolyards, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so like funny story. So my brother and I collected those. Our first set was actually Series 2, so 1991.
Okay. Yeah.
And that to me is still my favorite set. And we collected the entire set and they're like, oh, there's a Series 1. Let's go back, and we collected Series 1. And again, I still have those right here in my binder next to me.
Sick.
But when Series 3 came out, we would buy like the packs with our allowance. And, that was moving along slowly. And so, we make bad decisions as kids. We actually ended up like stealing some money from my parents kind of thing to buy packs. Again, we ended up like fessing up to our parents, like don't
nice.
Like it's not like a dark secret. I don't need to like hide it. Like that was a thing. But that helped.
You didn't get old school spanking. You didn't get one of those?
Oh yeah. They go, oh yeah, there was spankings, there was grounded, like the whole 9 yards. Yeah, Manu, I was saying my voice is I feel fine. It's just I lost my voice a little bit. But yeah, so we definitely did complete series 3 via some nefarious means or methods.
That's pretty crazy. Gnarly story. So you have all 3 series?
I have series 1, I have series 2, I have series 3. And then I also have the other set, I would say, is the 1992 Jim Lee X-Men series 1. I would love to also add that into my OA lane, but that entire set was done by Jim Lee. And like, dude, Jim Lee OA is like another like you could find like Mark Bagley, for instance, who I love Mark Bagley, he was a big artist in the 90s. You could find some of his work from those cards. And then if you find Jim Lee sells for like a whole nother like level more expensive. Dude, it's crazy.
Trust me. So my friend that has Uncanny X-Men, he's actually close with Jim Lee. He has him on his cell phone dial.
Oh, damn.
And this is through work. Somehow he got connected to Jim Lee through work and they became buddies. Not buddies, but he did not give him a discount on OA because he's not going to cut a discount to anybody. Like his stuff is so crazy. And he penciled and inked a custom page for him. And he wouldn't tell me the price. I'm not going to say it on the interview either, but it's crazy. I'll pull it up, just show you, because it's pretty crazy, gnarly image.
Well, I mean, recently Jim Lee opened up a commission list, and his prices were like $30K. I want to say, and people are like, "How could Jim Lee do this? Like, it's too like." And it's just like, guys, this is the type of player Jim Lee is in this game. Oh, dude, that is incredible.
So that's my buddy's original art.
Yeah, so. Yeah. There you go. Manu said, "Sell Jim Lee's phone number to us."
I don't know. My buddy, he's real tight with him. Like he's going to be here in a couple weeks at Flying Colors, the famous guy that started the whole free comic book day in Concord.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be there, but my buddy's out of town. I was like, dude, you could at least got me in, because he's keeping the tickets real tight. It's all like lottery system tickets to get your signings. So my buddy's not in town, so I couldn't get like little, here you go, like real quick sign it because he's my buddy, but it didn't work out. So I can't get a signing this month.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like Old School says $30K and it's still sold out in minutes. Like exactly. Like
that's crazy.
Again, like, is it expensive? Yes. But like, I can't hate on Jim Lee for that. Dude's a legend, and he earned that reputation. And so he should charge what he can charge because he's earned that right, and people pay it. So,
and he's a busy guy as well because he's executive, right? He's the president,
right? I mean, it's just like the Joker said in The Dark Knight: if you're good at something, never do it for free, right? Like,
exactly.
Know your worth and get your worth.
He's everywhere too, man. He's got long time fans. Fans.
Yeah, for sure. Erwin, this was excellent though. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for coming on. Again, the kind of keys to the plan. Have the plan, however that is that route. It's going to be aware. It's going to take time. It's going to take discipline. But if it is something you want to do, you can definitely knock off your big goals.
Focus.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Yeah. Anything else you want to shout out before we jump off here?
Just thanks again. It was always great to be part of the whole show. I love the shows. I always get tidbits here and there to keep me in the game and great tips from the other folks that's on in the show. I wasn't on the episode 100, but I'm cool being episode 99.
Yeah. I'll tell people that real quick. When I first reached out to Erwin, Erwin hit me up before he posted his AF. He's like, I got my AF-15. You got to get me back. I was like, hell yeah, we got to get you back on the show. We got to talk about this. And then it was just like, dude, I was like, hey, it actually worked out that you were going to be episode 100. And so it was going to be the 100th episode. But then my episode 99 guest, he got sick. And so he had to cancel like the day of. And so now 100 became 99. So 100 will be next week. Yeah. And as of right now, I have, if you follow him on Instagram, his name's Pop Culture Travis. He just started Landry Pop Auctions.
Oh yeah.
So he's gonna come on. We're gonna talk to him about that whole thing. I mean, he's the one that's selling that like 4.0 Tech 27, a 7.0 Tech 31. So like, I mean, I'm really excited to talk to that guy. And then we're gonna have some OA guests. after that to follow. But yes, Erwin, you may not have been physically 100, but you're just as significant to me, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
This could be yours one day,
Yeah,
guys.
there we go. There we
This
go.
could be yours. Chase it. Chase it. It's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've had a good number of people in the stream, 8 to 10 people at a time. So thanks for showing up. And we will catch you next week. Peace out.
Right on. Later.